Hello, I'm Nick Briggs, and I have nothing to do with the Tomorrow People except that I was a small child watching it many years ago. But I have with me Nicholas Young and Peter Vaughan Clark, who were in the series. Hi, guys.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Tell us who you played.
I played John.
And I played Stephen Jameson, who was the first TP to break out on the series, that is.
And this is the beginning of the second series, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you had a new Tomorrow person coming on board, and here she is.
Oh, that's quite something, Robert. Really good.
Tell us something about her.
The rest of you, gather round and have a look at this.
Well, Elizabeth was brought in on this story, which is called The Blue and the Green.
See the subtle use of colour and shading.
And she was brought in to replace Sammy Windmill, who did the first 13 episodes.
What are you going to call it?
Change of weather on Rex.
This was the early days, I think, of
Sort of abstract title.
when the creators of the programme thought it would be a good idea to internationalise the programme as much as possible. It began to sell quite well abroad,
I'm sure we could have it up in
and
the classroom if you wouldn't mind.
I think it was felt it was a good idea to keep it as multi-ethnic and multicultural as possible. This was a very new idea, of course, in the early 1970s.
And also, she was a very good actress as well. She was very powerful.
This bit here, is this actually shot on location in a school?
Actually, this was the first outside broadcast, I think, that Thames Television did for a kids' programme, and it was quite a big deal. It was in Twickenham, a school called Queen's, which is in St Margaret's, and it's actually filmed in the school, I think it was in a bank holiday. We were there about a week, I think. Nick?
The exteriors there, you'll note.
Now, this is a bit of film here.
I was just about to say the exterior was filmed on video, the rugby match you just saw there. And here we are now going back to the older technique of putting it on film, which I always felt was unacceptable on programmes. I think they hoped the punter wouldn't notice, but it's quite obvious when you change from film to video, the quality is completely different, as you can see now as we cut back.
It gets flatter, doesn't it?
It's not very nice.
There you go. There's if you watch the characters in the background in the classroom, there's quite a few well-known people now. Like standing behind me there was Ray Burgess in the classroom. There's Pauline Quirk, Pauline Quirk's in it, and I think Linda Robson as well.
Yeah, she's in there as well.
They were all from a particular...
Anna Shares.
That's it.
Anna Shares drama school.
Yeah. That bit of film looked like sort of stock footage of school kids, because I don't think that any of you ever appear.
No,
in
that probably was.
Sure, that's right, yeah.
You mentioned there about the internationalising of the thing and getting a black actress in. There's a lot of racial metaphor stuff going on in this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't worry, no one will notice.
What were your feelings about that at the time?
I think we were naive enough probably not to notice at the time. But I think Roger's policy as the creator was always to make it people from all sorts of different backgrounds, which I think was a very good idea. I think that's what gave it a very wide appeal.
And how did you feel about the semi-nudity we're witnessing now?
I had completely forgotten about it. I was just thinking, who is that magnificent hunk? And then I realised it was me.
I didn't realise, actually, you got down to the drawers.
There we are, you see, furthering our non-drinking policy there. We're drinking Coca-Cola or something.
There's no Bacardi in that, then?
I don't think so. I wasn't paid to say Coca-Cola, I just thought it looked like it.
Well, there's a kid in my class called Robert.
Oh, yeah?
Well, he did a painting. He called it Change of Weather on Rexall Farm.
Peter, you're so young there.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I haven't changed one bit.
It's
I've
true.
got that youthful look still.
Except the voice, of course, has got a lot deeper.
Exactly.
As it would after 30 years of smoking.
I think it would have gone their way anyway, hopefully.
There was too much detail and all correct.
So there wasn't.
But the great thing about I'm always eating or drinking throughout the whole series, I think.
Yes, I've noticed that.
I'm just eating and eating.
We're always on the lookout for new Tomorrow People.
Quite interesting to see the cola appearing there. It's all very well appearing, but where does it come from? Who pays for it? Does it come straight from the factory, or...?
What, the Coca-Cola?
Yes.
It comes from Tim.
Ah, oh, how very unpleasant. What an unpleasant thought. It might be Tim's waste matter.
Well, he's jaunting it directly from the factory.
Is that right?
He's siphoning it
Well,
off.
that's what worries me, yeah.
See, by this stage in the episode, it was just me and Nick, because Kenny left and so did Sammy. when there was 4 in the beginning. This is the time when there's just us two, isn't there?
And Tim's tubes dangling in
Tim's
the background there.
tubes. Yes.
Was the other thing was Elizabeth's wig, which was acceptable in 1972, but by 1973 it wasn't. It was just trying to make her look European with that straight hair.
Yeah.
So that was okay when we started, but definitely out for the
But
next
she lost it though,
series.
didn't
That's
she?
what I'm saying, yes she did. It was definitely out later on.
It was out later on there.
But then, you know, you think of the Supremes, that's exactly how they had their hair
It
at
was,
the time.
but yeah.
It never occurred to me that it was a wig.
Yeah, oh, it certainly is, yeah. That isn't a wig, I don't think.
It should be, shouldn't it, really?
But it is now, but it wasn't then.
I like those tank tops.
Then her reaction should be interesting.
Sit down, Stephen. I want a word with you.
Oh, yes, now this conversation here, I think a lot of school kids could have identified with this, sort of telling your teacher a ridiculous story that she wouldn't believe, you know, about how you haven't done your homework, except you're telling her that she's a telepath.
That's right.
Or why apparently had his hands down the front of his trousers. Yes, miss, I was only jaunting. Now, I need to talk to you about this.
Just now. And that other one. John, I think you call him.
I used to have an imaginary friend.
I quite understand.
I've still got quite a few.
By all means.
In fact, all of them.
They're here now, sitting behind you.
Yes, I can. So can everyone else. Look, I don't want you to get the reputation for being a nutter.
The reputation he's lived up to splendidly.
Yes.
Now, this outside broadcast type recording they did here, was this done before the studio work?
No, actually, there's a lot. It was about 4 or 5 days we were down there, weren't we, Nick?
Yeah, we used to do what was known as 2 episodes back to back. We'd take a 10-day period and we would do 2 episodes, rehearse both, and then record for 2 days the 2 stories together. This was exceptional, this one, because we used the genuine location of the school. And as Peter says, I think we were probably there for about 4 days. I wasn't there.
That's true, actually, yes.
Much, because there was one scene, I think, where I appear in the corridor, but otherwise I wasn't in it.
Yes, that's very true, yes, because I remember it was
All right, they're real. They exist. They're ordinary.
quite interesting to film in a real school, though, when you're a kid and you're in a quite well-known TV programme. It was quite fun.
But you see, also the technical side of things was quite interesting, because nowadays doing this sort of thing is easy. The cameras are much more lightweight. The cameras in those days were huge, very heavy, very bulky, and filming like this on a live location was not easy.
I'm talking to you without moving my lips. I can cover my mouth.
I can't remember how many cameras we actually had on location there, but they were the big. They weren't, they weren't small cameras, the proper
That's what I
studio
mean.
cameras. Yeah, so
They were huge.
they were huge. There was about 5 or 10 trucks outside, all controls and.
And it's a joke, because nowadays you can get the same quality from a camera the size of a cigarette packet.
It's a trick. That's all a trick. Look, I don't know how you...
And they were presumably doing the vision mixing, like as in a studio, cutting from camera to camera. It wasn't.
Yeah, there would have been an outside broadcast truck.
Yeah, there was.
Literally with a like a studio.
Vision mixing equipment
Yeah.
was outside. But you see, the quality is so much better than it would have been on film, and actually quicker, because they'd have to relight every shot if it was on film. And fortunately, it's lasted longer too, because film deteriorates over time. Colour film, particularly of that era, deteriorates very badly. Whereas the tape, as you can see, has stood up very well.
Yeah.
Why not? I'll join back to the lab for my...
Interesting colours as well they're using, because this is all about colours. This storyline. And our clothes are very bright.
Stephen! Stephen!
It's an interesting thing, actually, over the 30-year period. There are some 30-year periods where clothes look completely ridiculous, and other 30-year periods where you can get away with it. I don't think Elizabeth's outfit looked that old-fashioned.
Well, it's to do with fashions today, isn't it? We have kind of gone back to a bit of a 70s.
It is. It's. You're looking at a lot of things, and I'm thinking, my God, they're wearing it again.
I mean, I think Peter still wears rubber, don't you, Peter? And Tim's balls are still flashing away.
The whole thing about
Right, we do get our kit off a lot on this. It's quite. Oh, look.
I know, it was horrible.
it was horrible. He just
Yes, at least my chest hasn't changed over the past 30 years.
That was
It's exactly the same.
That was extremely safe sex in one of those outfits, wasn't it?
know, these Tomorrow people, the next stage of humanity, and all they do is spend their days on the beach. They're slackers, aren't they, really?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've got to save the planet. You know, we have time off.
I think I was actually doing research on the beach. I don't think I was just
Really?
lazing there.
Just researching the young ladies.
There's no. I think John's predilections were never really discussed, were they?
I thought you had to be a teacher of tiny tots to get one of these.
They were drinking
Oh, I
more
think I
Coke.
picked this apple in
But that's all over and done with.
some weird place, didn't I?
Yes.
No, I didn't. I'm making that up.
It sounded good. You want to make some more?
I know. Yes, I jaunted off somewhere, especially to get her an apple from.
That's right. You mentioned that. Yes.
Oh, I do mention it.
Have they ever trundled you in front of the school psychiatrist?
Yeah, you've just told her there.
All right.
I never knew we had one.
Do you say you get it from Australia or something? I don't know.
Oh, that's
that
yes. That's
Anyway, I wouldn't tell him the things I'll
all
tell
coming
you.
flooding back.
Oh, what's so special about me, then? I know, don't tell me. We're alike, you and I.
That's it. The voices, Elizabeth. Remember, the voices you keep hearing.
I've had just about enough of this.
All the paintings changed.
Yes.
Stop following me around. And don't call me Elizabeth. I'm Miss Mbondo to you.
Who did the painting? Do we know?
I think it was Harry Clark, the designer. They're quite nice, actually.
Yeah. They win a Turner Prize nowadays.
And now this chap, who's this? Do you remember him?
Oh, Kemp.
Jason.
Jason Kemp, yeah.
I'd worked with him before in a television play for BBC. I played a head boy in a school, and I was particularly nasty to him. He was Ian Carmichael's son in the
Is a
play.
planet called Rexall 4.
Really?
He was quite a strange. He was a good actor. But
Yeah.
He gave the
How does it change?
character a bit.
Don't know if
Yes,
it's...
he came across as a bit weird, which was exactly what was required for the part. I don't know what happened to him. Actually, I think I worked with him in Goodbye, Mr. Chips as well. Couple of things I worked with him on.
Strange.
Can't say I do. Painting's not my strong subject.
Isn't mine either.
It was acting.
Something in possession of my hands made me paint it.
I don't know, Peter. I'm quite moved. Yeah.
I know.
As well, do you?
Think I'm bonkers or something?
Yes, I should have carried on.
Bit of flute.
What is 12 times 3, Tim?
63.
Wrong, Tim.
Oh, yes, of course. 36. It's the simple calculation.
I didn't do my homework.
Dean, come here a minute.
Because nowadays we'd be surfing the web, then
That's
we'd look
right,
at
yes.
magazines.
Your QX5. You know, when the planet passes between its two suns on its figure-of-8 orbit.
Sure looks like it. What are you doing in the Observer? A children's art competition.
It's been glued in.
Judges remarked on the skillful way the picture had been painted.
It's a trademark that those funny colours in the background, isn't it? The trademark.
The lather lamp type thing, isn't it?
The artist,
Cheap set,
Gavin
though, you see.
Watson, a keen science
Just all you need is a blank screen and you can project whatever you like
picture
onto it.
represents the surface of a planet he calls
And a good tank top as well, I feel.
Oh, the tank
Need
tops
to
were-
mention.
Yes, Bumblebee.
Put in the washing machine and shrunk.
Get the name of the planet.
But now Liam Gallagher probably wears them all the time.
Too. Not ours, remember? Just as your friend Robert does. But the chances against it are astronomical.
It's interesting because, of course, budget-wise, you couldn't do anything sort of huge. That the Tomorrow People does rely on news reports and news footage quite a lot to give the sort of sense that some big invasion type thing's happening.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I mean, this, of course, is in the days before the web. And in a way, it's remarkably prophetic because things are coming up on screen all the time, just as they would nowadays on a computer. Whereas the only computer in existence, as far as this story is concerned, was Tim.
He is a bit like the internet itself, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
a forerunner of
Was it like
Tim Berners-Lee later.
Hal out of 2001, wasn't it, really? I suppose that
Yeah.
could have been an idea for him.
The children in the local school were uncontrollable, extremely violent, seemingly possessed by the devil.
Sounds like a normal school these days.
That's the science fiction version of Dan. Dan.
I think this is the old classroom fight. But all these guys come from Anna Scher's acting
Yeah.
school.
Wasn't one of them in Flintlock?
In what?
Wasn't one of them in Flintlock?
Flintlock? No, I don't think so. I don't think it discovered Flintlock by then.
John, I've got a problem.
Yes, Stephen, what is it?
There's half a dozen big kids nearly killing a little one in our classroom.
It's a great sort of wish fulfillment thing for kids, isn't it? That, you know, you've got trouble at school and you can use your telepathic powers to call for help.
That's right.
Yeah, there's trouble at mill. All you got to do is call Tim. I always thought this was a bit feeble, this kneeing this fella in the face. He really should have gone for it a bit stronger.
Yes, kicking him on the floor or something.
John, I'm going to use my special powers.
Oh.
Don't do that, Stephen.
You're so sensible.
The painting, John. The painting's changed again. Everything is calm.
I'm surprised at all of you. Those of you who were doing that dreadful thing, and those of you who did nothing to stop it. Get back to your places.
I guess this all dates it as well. The blackboards on those old-fashioned desks as well. That, you know, I guess they don't have that in schools these days.
Well, funny enough, desks are making a comeback.
Are they?
Yeah.
And you do what he says.
I always thought it was a mistake sitting children around a table. Desks are a much better idea.
Well, you can keep all your bits in it. I used to like
Exactly.
my desk, you know. Mind you, need a lock these days. I don't think I had locks on my desk at school.
Only the people you're afraid of.
Blackboards are whiteboards now, aren't they?
Touch screen.
People who make you afraid of them.
What do they call it? Yeah,
Deserve no
whiteboards.
respect at all.
There's a big bit of morality going on here, isn't there?
Oh, we were a highly moral bunch.
So we're all agreed. Now let's get down to some work in an atmosphere of mutual respect.
You said the thing there about the beating up of the small boy who looked at least 5 years younger than all his friends.
Yes, he was as well.
Look, eating.
Eating again.
Now, I think you seem to have some eating disorder here. You don't actually seem to be able to get it in your mouth.
No, well, it was vile. It was absolutely horrible because it came from the canteen and it was cold and
The system makes sure that
acting and
there's no
eating
between us.
is very difficult. If you keep too much in your mouth, you can't talk, and if you don't put enough in, it looks silly.
Might be glad of that gulf sometimes, the way kids behave.
John, what she needs...
Got any pepper?
was to be someone like you. Someone she doesn't automatically...
We
think
didn't actually
she's
tell
evil.
Peter at the time, but
You
we'd
know,
actually put a
there's
few
more-
worms in there.
Okay.
There it goes, look, that one next. See?
No table manners at all. It's disgusting.
I think we were having a bit of fun then.
It was a little bit after this that movies started portraying people stuffing hamburgers in their mouth and talking with their mouth full. It wasn't quite on in 1972 or 3.
I warned you, we'll start with you, Johnson. Go to the headmaster.
Johnson, dear me, surnames.
There it is, Ray Burdis,
Yeah.
who is... What's he in? Is he in Thin Blue Line?
Are you getting or do I have to check the headmaster?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he was in some... Because he's a producer.
Producer, yeah.
Yeah.
You always pick on me, no one else is...
No, a comedy series. That wasn't Thin Blue Line. Sorry about that.
Settle down, the rest of you.
They even had corporal punishment in those days, so Johnson could have gone to the head and been thrashed.
Well, there is a scene later where the headmaster comes in brandishing a cane.
Well, there you
which is
are.
a way.
If she wasn't taking us while old Tripe and Ale is off sick, we'd be doing something worse, like picking paper off the playground.
Thank you, Robert.
Ooh, she calls him Robert. You
Well,
see, there's
yes.
something, there's obviously favouritism going on here.
Yes.
She obviously got an eye for him.
He hasn't just need someone in the head. I don't remember. My school never had
Jingle bells.
yeah,
No.
little fashion parade. There's Pauline Quirk.
Yeah,
Oh, there she is, yeah.
one of her better performances, I think.
And then
Yes, there's the stock shot
There's the
again.
bog standards to shop. Nothing to do with our school.
Actually, it looks as if it's been taken in secret from a hidden camera somewhere, doesn't it? So as not to have to pay the extras.
Secret filming of school children scandal.
Yeah, found on the hard disk.
Oh, now here you are. You're on on location now.
Yeah, and I did do a scene or two in the school, but I wasn't there as much as...
Yes, indeed.
I think we better get it back to the lab and examine it.
Yes, indeed.
But if we don't know what it is...
It's not a very childlike line there, is it?
Who can tell?
Here are my
Yes, it's all the way we speak in it is quite funny. It's like, golly oh, right, oh. Like, my word.
Well, looking through it, you know, a lot of the time it seems right for kids, but it's just now and again you hear the voice of the writer coming through, and it does sound a little bit Enid Blyton, you know,
Oh, yes.
saying like,
Yeah, but
why? I never realised. You know.
The world was a little more Enid Blyton in those days.
was,
Bear in
wasn't
mind that four-letter words were not allowed on television at all.
And wicked meant wicked.
Exactly. What you mean, cool?
If I was doing the end of term show, I'd have him in it.
That's what I was going to mention earlier about with the violent scene, where, you know, were you ever aware, while shooting or rehearsing it, and they said, well, we can't do that, we can't go that far, and, you know, you wanting to make it more realistic?
I don't think violence really ever featured in it. That was about as far as it went, and it was just bad acting in that case. And even worse direction.
Stephen doesn't pretend to talk to me, he really does, and I talk to him too.
He brings you to school.
I see what you mean about the voices. But then people, I think, did speak a bit better in those days, and 20 years earlier than that, in the 1950s, they spoke even better. It's just not fashionable to speak properly nowadays.
But it is quite nice to listen to it now and to hear...
Well, to actually understand what people are saying.
Absolutely, yes.
Not to have speech impediments, which seems to be a prerequisite for being a presenter nowadays. Yes, my flies are undone.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Don't know why she screamed there.
Just to be a bit...
Perhaps she thought she'd seen a sauce on or something. But you'll need to see a later episode to understand that joke.
Just to be a bit technical there, I noticed that in this story they were sort of pioneering this new technique of doing your jaunting, where they would often just chroma key you or colour separation overlay you, on, like here.
Like that, the roll back and mix, I think it was called, wasn't it?
Ah, yes, but there's...
Now you're actually there. Before you were...
Yeah, but that's actually quite clever, you see. They got more and more clever as they went along. Most people don't appreciate how clever some of this stuff is, because to do a straight disappearance against a plain background is simple. But if somebody's walking past you in the background while you're doing it, that's extremely difficult. That involves at least a split screen, and sometimes we had 3 different screens. And as I say, very clever, and I'm sure technicians appreciated how clever it was, but probably the audience didn't.
Roger Price directed that.
Yes, he did.
Paul Bernard did a lot of them. Was it pronounced Bernard?
Paul Bernard.
Paul Bernard, he called it. Bernard.
Bernard.
Yes, the Price was right on that one.